Hello, welcome to the Rose Engine Shop. Today we're going to talk a little bit about a purling tool. Now, what is a purling tool? Well, this antique purling tool that I'm holding in my hands is from the 1920s, and all it did was allowed the user to turn the back end in a circle, and the little off-center cutter on the front would just make a series of circles on the piece of material that the engine turner was cutting, usually silver or jewelry or something of that nature. At the time, these machines were never used on wood, but that's all it really did was make a series of circles. Now, after the guy cut his regular guilloche pattern, he could embellish the pattern with a series of circles around the outside edge. And after playing with the antique purling tool for a couple of weeks, I decided that it had many uses, and many of the uses that I came up with were: one, replacing the little cutter with a diamond. Using a diamond allowed me to use it as a guilloche cutter, and also allowed me to use high amplitude rosettes without getting any distortion. The second use I found for the antique purling tool was that you could make all different size cutters to make all different size balls, and they're actually fairly easy to make, usually about a half an hour apiece. And the third and fourth thing that I found was Cratex. Cratex makes beautiful little spiral designs, little bright spots on the metal, and it's very easy to use, and you can go around in a circle in just a few seconds, make a beautiful little bright spot. And the fourth thing that I found I could use a purling tool was a pencil holder. They're really nice. You can push it in and out and revolve the part at the same time and come up with patterns on paper before you move to metal or to wood. The modern purling tool I'm going to show you today has a boring head on one end, so you can pull the center off center, and also it goes in and out, so you can use it as a pencil chuck or a purling tool. And what I'm going to do is demonstrate the double eccentric chuck using the purling tool. And the first thing you want to do with our double eccentric chuck, when you're learning a chuck that's this sophisticated, is to keep this axis of this crank on center. Only pull it off center in one direction. This way you can learn the tool a little bit at a time so you know where you're at. And where we are right now is we have an index, a 360-degree index that is indexed right now on 0. And we're 3/4 of an inch off center line in one direction. And let's see what we get. We get a nice little circle. We're not using any rosettes. We have the rosettes locked out. We've made one circle at 0 degrees. We turn it, lock the D10 in at 90. We made another circle. We move to 180, push the D10 in, make another circle, and you can start to see a pattern start to appear. Last one is 270. Lock her in. Now we have 4 separate off-center circles. Now, to show what the purling tool does, it was just as easy as pushing it in and out, and puts a little tension on the pencil. So what we're going to do now is take the lead screw to the eccentric chuck. We're going to turn it 100, let's go 50 thousandths. 50 thousandths. So what we've done now is we've pulled the center off further, 50 thousandths. So it gives me a second circle. Now we repeat the whole process. Go back to 0 and go around one more time, and you'll start to see a pattern evolve. back to 90. And the pattern that we would get if we kept on going with pulling it off center, 50 thousandths at a time. And it's a beautiful pattern, but you almost have to see the completed effort, but this is how we get there. The completed effort looks just like this. Four separate circles, moving 50 thousandths from the center out. And that's what you get after 7 laps around, which only takes about 20 minutes. And it's an aesthetically pretty pattern. You can make it smaller. You can make it bigger. You can make this 6, 8, 10, as many circles as you'd want using the 360 degree index. So the machine phase is 360 degrees and has a 5 degree locking detent. So with the locking detent and the 360 degree, you can come up with any variable of index that you'd like. Another series I'd like to show you is something that you could do using wood. Once you've figured out a beautiful little pattern like this at 45, 90, 135, 180, 225, 270, and 315, little tiny F4s, once you get the pattern right with paper, you take the paper chuck off and go to a piece of wood. Now your learning curve on paper saves you some time in your wood shop. What we're trying to do is to learn how to use a double eccentric chuck without using a lot of wood. So learn first on paper, then once you get an aesthetical, beautiful pattern, you can move to the horizontal cutting frame. The horizontal cutting frame, using it on wood, you can put beautiful little rosettes around the inside or the outside of a piece of wood, perhaps for a lid or the inside of a vessel. This is the type of work that you can get when your machine does pumping and double eccentric work. This is only off center, about an inch, 3/4 of an inch. You index 90 degrees, you get 4 beautiful little patterns. This doesn't take a lot of work, but it looks really nice in plexiglass or wood.